And we are backing at him, folks, with a very important video out there, one that you guys have all asked for, and we're asking you to sit down and, well, watch it with us. Something we kind of all watched unfold yesterday all across Twitter was Thorin going at what seemed to be mostly the CoD community, which sparked, of course, a lot of responses out there. I can't even tell you guys. We got Pete behind the camera. We got Hunter, of course. How many names he brought up? I mean, we can try and list them all, but it's hard to keep up.
There's so many people, and it was like every time you thought, hey, maybe he's done, then it just kept going. Like a little bit later, he'd retweet something, he'd go after another person, and he would just never stop.
And I can honestly say I have never seen, I don't think, something to this extent, right? Because he did just keep going. It started with JCap, went to Simp, then Octane, Methods, Nameless, OpTic Hitch, other FaZe Clan boys.
Quavo.
You name someone in Call of Duty, it was likely they were somehow intertwined in all of these tweets. So what we're going to do is read through, well, what we think is going to be some of the, if you want to label them as better ones. Let's preface, though, it's just simply reactionary because we just have not seen something like this before. A lot of different opinions on these topics. You guys can leave those down below. I picked out some of the ones I thought were pretty heavy-handed, and I'm sure you'll dabble in some as well. So kind of where it started around, out of nowhere, he actually goes after a few big names. JCap was mentioned a lot. If you guys want to go and check out all of these tweets, a lot of them are still there, I do believe. Jordan Kaplan, Crim6 and Formal were in a shipwreck and all washed up on a deserted island. Crim6 takes charge and looks for food, but all he finds is a dusty old lamp. He rubs it and out pops a genie. I will grant each of you one wish, but only one. Crim6 found the lamp, so he boldly announces, I need to get back so I can win another championship. Send me back to the Empire House. In an instant, the genie transports him back there, and he is playing again. Formal is the least ugly of the two left, so he spots his chance and grabs his turn. You know the green wall needs me, man. Get me to the HQ so I can show another generation that Jack Black has game. The genie grants his wish without question. Jordan is the last left, and quite frankly was still sounding out what the genie said in his brain. Genie, what is your wish? Kaplan, bro, I'm lonely as crap right now, not gonna lie. I wish I had those two back again to keep me company. And that was just one of, what were you saying, 50 tweets?
So many.
Is it fair to even call that one tweet? That was like 1,000
Sorry, yeah, that was a
tweets
novel
long.
to start off with.
That was, I mean, we come out of the gate was the theme of these tweets is there's a lot of like big swings and misses on Thorin. Like this was a huge wind up, and then 4 tweets later, you're just kind of sitting there waiting for this thing to end.
And I will say, though, there were also a lot of responses, a lot of quote tweets on the other side that did, you know, a lot of people could have done better in their arguments here. It was because a lot of people were so triggered. You fast respond. You don't fully think it through. That was just one of many, and I apologize. That was one of the lengthier ones. He continues to go at JCap. How many retweets in 24 hours for Jordan Kaplan to tattoo brains sold separately onto his 5-head? Was Jordan Kaplan the only one to dig himself out of the dirt on Easter Island and go pro in CoD, or were there others? As long as JCap is involved with the LA Thieves, have they considered changing their name to Los Angeles Oxygen Thieves? And it just kept on. He had like 17 tweets about JCap.
I don't even understand that last one. That one's so bad. And even the Easter Island one, like, it just got so weird. Like, seeing him, he photoshopped a picture of JCap's face onto an Easter Island stone.
Yeah.
And it was like, man, that's another level of commitment to your joke that kind of was a swing and a miss, you know?
I will say that was maybe the one joke that I was like, oh, that's the kind of joke that like I would expect him to make and that actually worked. It was like an age-appropriate joke.
Yeah.
And then there's a lot of this stuff where it's like a man on his third mortgage kind of going at like the Fortnite humor, and it's just such a weird disconnect between like Thorin the person and then like these 14-year-old-ish like Twitter jabs that don't quite land. But the Easter Island one, I actually appreciated the effort behind.
There were, right? I saw a lot of people saying, you keep on shooting, eventually something's going to land. There were a few pretty good ones, I will say, but there were so many that, to me, were just, it continued to kind of degrade itself as it did go on.
A lot of cringy content.
It did, and it kept going on, especially when balls and penises, and that was kind of the main topic of a lot of these tweets. He says, broke, 37-year-old posting a funny joke. Woke, 26-year-old posting hold this L. Bespoke, 14-year-old masturbating into a Thieves jersey, crustier than the clown, while oofing to the biggest of degrees. And
First of all,
and it's just like, why
the Krusty? Who would understand the Krusty the Clown reference When was the last time any one of us has even watched an episode of The Simpsons? It took me a minute to remember what he was even talking about.
Well, you lost me when you said 14-year-old masturbating. At that point, you kind of just got to wonder why you tweeted it in the first place, and that's just where I come from, right? Jokes aside, like
it's a little. The man is the face of an organization, by the way. That's so.
Flashpoint, yeah.
It's so bizarre to me. If you're in Flashpoint, at what point are you like, listen, we understand that you like the banter, that's kind of your thing, but also, you've got like, you went off the rails yesterday. We need that to never happen again. Can we please like limit you to like 10 tweets a day or something?
Unless they really enjoyed that, which is entirely a possibility.
It is so crude. It's like, it's just another level of, like 14-year-olds talking about anything, like any part of a 14-year-old's body.
Dude, it's not crude. You're just soft.
Yeah, right. Exactly. That's what everyone will say. But it's. Oof.
I think it really gets spicy when he talks about OpTic and 100 Thieves, especially when the OpTic stuff we'll talk about in a bit. First, he actually quotes one of Courage's tweets about he actually targets Mike from Envy for hemorrhaging money. Thorin goes, "Mate, you'd be promoting trans fat milkshakes to the kids if they paid you enough. Where are we dropping today, lads? In integrity, pal." And he continues talking about Courage. Does the smell of Nade Shot's ball sack come off in the shower, or did you get used to it since that's how the olfactory, I'm dumb enough. Olfactory senses work. Ball sack of, wow, that's just.
It's a weird way to try and like age up that tweet at the end. Like that was like a real middle school like swing and a miss tweet. And then at the very end he's like, I'm gonna use a big word like olfactory to try and, because I'm the esports historian.
Yeah, so we're going to, again, kind of a light targeting of Courage and kind of Nade Shot 100 Thieves mentality. They did have a few Thieves tweets where it gets really weird with FaZe Simp getting involved. The tweet that first stuck out to me, actually, in all of this was he actually quotes FaZe Simp, says, "Lad, you're so young, you were probably conceived to the sound of face down, arse up. That's the way I like to frick." I'll continue. He continues on FaZe Simp. "Why did Simp take so long to get pro at Uplink? He was having trouble getting his balls to drop." And this is where the ball jokes just kind of keep on going in. And he goes on FaZe Simp for, I believe, 3 or 4 total tweets.
Yeah, the last time we've seen him do something like this, and this is even beyond that, was when the whole nonsense with Astralis, when Astralis kind of like pulled out or whatever, didn't sign with Flashpoint.
Yeah.
So it makes me wonder, like, was there some sort of deal with like OpTic and 100 Thieves to like come into Flashpoint and they just pulled out of as well? It's just
it does
very
make
odd.
you wonder. It really does make you wonder the background details we don't know, because certainly a lot of these were targeted towards not just CoD players, but OpTic, Thieves, as well as a few others were actually mentioned in there. So it does make, in FaZe Clan as
Eventually
well.
FaZe, yeah.
So it does make you wonder if he knows things that we don't about the upper organizations. So, we'll leave that out there. The point where it really disrupted me, I don't know about you guys, if you have any particular tweets, is when he targeted OpTic Hitch, someone who is well known in the industry for kind of making a strive in what has been known for the production quality, right? And these series that we now see other organizations kind of making spins of course, Vision, mostly known for his big hand in that and what has really changed the storylines of the esports scene, someone who I really, really respect. He goes, "Y'all ever hear about some loser hack filmmaker whose claim to fame was creating mindless content for 14-year-olds fast on their way to diabetes? I heard he was eventually able to hitch a ride," making reference to OpTic Hitch, "from some much bigger and more talented people in the scene." And that, to me, insinuating that he kind of just rode off the coattails of OpTic people, which is the most disrespectful thing possible when you think about what we do for content. We talk to a camera. Thorin talks to a camera. Hitch actually makes the content that people are going to keep on watching, going back to, that tell the stories of some of our favorite teams. And to me, that was one of the most disrespectful things that I saw of all of his tweets.
Yeah, it was hard to, and I'm speaking as a little bit of an authority on this. Like before this, I worked for CBS and ABC News. I have some local Emmys for cinematography. Like that's my background, is I've won some awards for stuff. I will say that what Hitch does, especially when he started, was like a massive jump in quality from what anyone else had done before. And it was just one guy with like a little DSLR camera, just taking the right shots, doing the right lighting, doing things to make it look professional. And it wasn't like he just hitched onto OpTic. I'm sure it was very lucky that he did get that break with OpTic, but he got that break because the work he was doing was really good. Like, it's hard. Like, I know a lot of people think of him now as like more of a streamer set. He's doing more of a content creation, YouTube style role, but like he made some really fantastic video content. and it was insanely disrespectful and just ignorant on Thorin's part to kind of dismiss that as like, oh, I just got lucky and he was with OpTic.
Yeah, it really rubbed me the wrong way. And yeah, you can say because of friendships and whatnot, but to me, no matter whether I call Hitch a friend or not, that's just entirely disrespectful for someone whose work is also respected. I got one last one. It was actually the OpTic joke that some people did find funny, and albeit I think to a lot of people this does hold some truth. But to me, it's a jab at OpTic. And so at the point of us recording, Hex has not responded. I'm curious if he will, because kind of a subtle second jab at OpTic or an OpTic member. He says, what do OpTic and Eminem have in common? Answer, they've never been the same since Infinite. I believe that being a reference to Eminem's old label. And of course, OpTic in the Infinite situation ever since they were acquired. So to me, a definite jab at OpTic.
Right. They also definitely came after Create a little bit, but
he dug himself a bit of a hole.
Yeah, he engaged in that probably a little too much, and had some, deleted tweets and went a little too far every once in a while. But he came after OpTic pretty hard.
Yeah, especially when you dive into, that's Thorin's spot, right? CS:GO, and of course OpTic, formerly in CS:GO. Definitely not an area you want to debate those guys on because they have that depth of knowledge. And if you're gonna say some misinformation, you're going to be corrected by these guys more than anything. So for me, those are the main tweets I wanted to focus on. There were a lot of other tweets involving balls being stuck in holes and that kind of stuff. I don't know if you guys had any tweets in particular.
I just had one thing, and we can rein it in just a little bit, but seeing people like the other four horsemen come in and defend Thorin, I think is respectable, as it is someone who's on your team, and to a degree, like, yes, you want to defend people who are that you're working with, like you're gonna want to. But at the same time, the one that I want to focus on from Richard Lewis was, he said, look guys, if you don't understand Thorin's tweets or why he does it, you just need to remember he is the living embodiment of a word I don't know how to say. I can't even
Don't
say
even
it.
try.
Yeah, I'm not even gonna try. We're too dumb. It's fine. Once you realize that, everything else becomes clear. And that word means the irresistible urge to do something inadvisable. And to me, that's just, they're excusing everything that they're saying or the level that they're stooping down to because it's just an irresistible urge to do it. And I think, at least for us, that feels like something that we're not going to try to stoop down to. And it just feels weird. It just feels weird to see giants do
You
that.
can't put me in jail just because I have the irresistible urge to murder. That's not fair. That's
Right.
just an urge I have. I'm the living embodiment of that. So clearly, I can't go to jail. That's on you.
Right, it's a weird defense.
The weird thing for me was still the several times he referenced the LA Gorillas as the pinnacle of sucking at COD, which makes me realize that he hasn't watched COD this season because they're not on my fantasy team, thank God. But the poor Royal Ravens would definitely be the easy shot.
It would have upheld last season. But at the very base of this, I know people are going to have a lot of varying opinions on this, and of course, I would come to your guys' defense as my team members as well. But I would also expect
I would throw you under the bus in a heartbeat.
I would also expect you guys to never take it to the level that we saw yesterday, and that's just our opinion. You guys are certainly open to your own, but what I saw yesterday was the unraveling of a lot of different sides on all of these arguments, right? This involved several figures out there, and we saw responses all across the board having their opinions, and it definitely unveiled some deeper ties that people have to each other, and that might be the person they're going to back no matter what they do. To me, it was kind of, after everything, seeing a lot of responses, to me, the only way I can really describe it was kind of just almost disappointing to see. And I did not expect it to be taken to the level it was, and it's not something that I ever hoped that we, stoop to, but it happened. And it was all sparked by what seemed to be banter and trash talk between 100 Thieves, Courage, and Hastro.
Yeah, it escalated to a point that doesn't make any sense to me.
It wasn't fun anymore.
That's the thing, that it wasn't fun, and I think that was everyone's response. This wasn't funny 10 tweets in, and 100 tweets later, you just can't even believe you're watching this. But I do want to say how brave it is for the two of you to talk about so many topics about balls with your increasingly shorter shorts on display. So that takes a bravery you love to see.
Well, either way, we're super curious what you guys think. Sorry for a bit longer of a react, but this one had to be done. Maybe expect some future videos on these topics because, like we said, some big names were involved, and maybe we'll break it down further on the channel. What do you guys think? Leave a comment down below. We'll catch you back here in the next one. Take care.